So hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us for our Mingle Mastermind session today. We're talking about personal branding. We have some branding experts, and so we're very excited to talk about all the different nuances of growing your personal brand. We've got several of our regular Mingle Masterminders. Is that a word? Can we create that?
Mastermind.
I like it.
Yeah. Mingle Masterminders. Okay, go. Sharon. Hey, how are you doing?
I'm good, thanks. Hi, everyone. Hi, Melissa. So happy to be here. And I'm so excited for today's topic. And I can't wait to hear from the experts. I'm sure we have a lot of questions for them.
Absolutely. Hello, Kat. How are you doing? Oh, we've got her frozen for a minute. We'll go to Dale. Dale, that's quite a background.
Oh, yes.
So soothing.
That's awesome. So Dale, how are you? Tell us what's new with you.
I'm doing fantastic. At True Model Management, we're working on several collaborations. As usual, we are helping brands with all types of models, shapes, sizes, ethnicities, but we're also doing collaborations with DCG Media. D's on the line, so we can do some PR work and billboards and content creation for any brands who want at our collaborative space on West 37th Street. And also this background, that is Anina Net we're preparing for the online digital fashion summit. So still have that up, and that'll be the end of the month, the 28th and 29th of March. So looking forward to seeing everyone there. And I'm really looking forward to today's topic. So I'd love to jump in and start learning and teaching with all of you.
Awesome. Kat, are you unfrozen yet? Oh, did we lose you? And then D, let's see, D's having computer issues, but there's Kat. Hey, Catherine, how are you? We are having trouble with D and Catherine today.
I'm here, by the way. It's just that I'm gonna get rid of this computer. Just having issues. Keeps turning on and off, but I'm glad to be here, everybody. Thank you, Melissa.
Good. Do you want to give us any updates on anything you have going on with DCG Group?
Yeah, we have a lot going on, but what we are planning now and solidifying everything for Hamptons Fashion Week for August 6th, 7th, and 8th, and then Times Square Fashion Week for September 12th and 13th, and then we're working on Latinista Fashion Week for Hispanic Heritage Month for October 10th and 11th. So there's a lot.
That's a lot.
Yeah, but things will kind of cross-pollinate as they always do. So I'll definitely have updates and I'll send that your way, Melissa.
Very excited to see you getting back into the groove of everything, and looks like we're gonna be in pretty good shape for fall.
Yeah, I gotta do a lot of hair color because I'm growing more gray hair.
Yeah,
like,
I bet
things
you
are
are.
happening.
Kat, are you still frozen? Yeah, she keeps popping in and out. Oh, there you are. We'll give her a minute.
Yeah, that's happening to my computer, so I just said.
Okay, yeah, Kat's having computer issues too. So we'll introduce our panelists today. Some of my favorite people are here. Thank you, Mary, for joining us today. Would you please introduce yourself and tell us about your business?
Sure. I'm Mary Santarella. I apologize for the laryngitis. It didn't come. But anyway, I work for the Italian American Network, and predominantly what we do is branding and personal branding for our clients, predominantly international, who are trying to integrate into the American market, in a nutshell.
Wonderful. Very cool. Oliver, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. The weather's great. Nice to see you guys all again. It's like, hey, Kim, been a while.
Hi.
So Oliver, you want to tell us a little bit about your business and what kind of projects you've been working on lately?
Yeah, so I'm a portrait and fashion photographer based in New York City. I work with modeling agencies, models, designers, influencers, currently I'm working with a lot of new models, new faces, and getting their portfolios up and ready for this coming fashion week for, I guess, September. And I'm also working with some product designers as well. So that's in the pipeline.
Wonderful. Fabulous. Kim, thank you for joining us again. How's everything going in Houston?
Everything is going great. Things are finally back to normal, whatever that may be right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You had quite an adventure. I know you came up to New York City for Fashion Week and was working with Kat with High Tech Moda, and that's when all hell broke loose in Texas. And you got separated from your children.
Yes, I was scheduled to come back that Monday after the show, and it turned into Tuesday, Wednesday, and then Friday.
Wow. Well, I can't imagine what it must have been like to be in New York, knowing all of that was going on and not being near your family. I certainly was thinking of you and hoping everything was going well.
Thank you. So my name is Kim. I am a wardrobe stylist and image consultant here in Houston. And right now, I've really been focusing on networking with everything that's going on. And what my main goal is to help models to build an amazing portfolio so that for editorial shoots, and also to help that everyday woman and that boss mom who really might not know what to wear and make sure that she makes the right first impression. So I've really just been working a lot lately with more boss moms. I've been pretty busy with that, helping them to revamp their wardrobe.
That's great. I've never heard that term before. Fascinating. So that sounds like they are all about personal branding too, right?
Yes.
And then lovely to have Allison with us, the social media guru. Thank you, Allison, for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I'm Allison. I am a blogger, social media influencer that focuses on lifestyle, fashion, beauty. Absolutely, Allie is my name on social media, and I've grown my following from 0 to over 100,000. So I took what I learned and put it in a masterclass to teach other people how to use social media to build their brand and to build their business, whether you're an influencer, entrepreneur, or whatever. It's still the same way of how you grow it and turn that and convert that into, clients and customers. I've been that's already out, and I'll put a link here because I'll give everybody a discount on my products, 10% with code Mingle. I'm working on right now. A lot of people have been asking, I do social media management, but I don't obviously put that out there that much, but I'm doing a workshop April 7th of how to build a 1-month social media content calendar, because that's what everybody wants to know. So in this workshop, you'll leave with all your content for a month, and it teaches you how to keep doing it for the next month. So I have that going on right now, and that'll be April 7th. So I'll put all that information in the chat.
Fantastic. I think I will be attending that one. Sounds good. And Catherine, do we have you now? Well, we're having internet trouble with Catherine. Well, thank you everybody for joining us. Today is going to be a really important session because personal branding is more important than ever. I know many of us who have businesses, we prefer for the focus to be on our business sometimes, but it's really important that we're known as, the leaders of our business, because that creates a lot of personality around the business. And we've got such great experts here today. I want to start off with Mary, because you've had such a long career in branding, and would you explain to us what the difference is between branding and personal branding, and why is it important?
Right, because personal branding, everyone here today plays an important part in personal branding. And I'll just go into directing. In personal branding, who are you? That's very important. Who are you? What do you do for a living? How are you different from other people, maybe in your related field? How do you want to be perceived? Very important. And social media plays a very big part in that. And really important too is, how do you create value for your specific target market? It's a very competitive field right now. So you have to, in makeup, in dress, in position in social media, how you position yourself and how you appear to other people. Perception is very, very important. And it's more personal. Regular branding, we do the exact same thing, but we're doing it with products and we take a totally different view. But since we're just targeting personal branding, I'd rather just target on these specific areas. Otherwise, it's a whole long dialogue. But in personal branding, it's very important. I think more so now than ever. The clients that I'm dealing with, most of them right now want to get themselves more out there, more recognized, perceived specifically in a certain way. And I think that's important in the way you dress, in your makeup application, where you're positioned, where are you in social media? How are you being positioned? It is so, so important, considering the fact that in 30 seconds, people already have you sized up. So in 30 seconds, you have to make that appearance and that image and the perception that you want them to believe. So it's very, very calculated and very strategic. And the way to go about it, you have to work with everybody on this panel today to make that happen.
Thank you, Mary. And I think that's what we really wanted everybody to understand is that, there's a lot of finessing that goes on in creating a personal brand. And so that's why we have so many different experts here. Allison, you're the queen of personal branding. You've done an amazing job with your own brand. Can you tell us what it was like? How did you get started? And did growing such a large social media following, did it just come natural to you, or did you have to learn how to do that?
Yeah, I had to learn how to do it because I didn't hop into this social media influencing in the beginning like everyone else, when it was just quick to grow a following and everything. So I had some trials and tribulations in the beginning, and I learned some things that would help me grow. One, branding, be authentic in your brand through social media. There's a lot of talk about through social media that people are not authentic. People want to follow you and they want what you're putting out there because you are authentic and you're recommending things to them that they believe in and that you believe in. Also, know what your niche is. If you don't know what that is, then you're all over the place. Know what your brand is. Most people kind of start out and they do this, that, and the other until they figure it out. But try to figure it out sooner than later because that's what helps you grow. And also be consistent and, have a message, have a call to action. I talk about, I have a download that's 7 steps to social media success that talks about your brand, that talks about how to use social media. I put that in the chat box, and that will help you kind of get out there and help you learn exactly what you want to put forth to people. So there's some steps to it, but you have to be consistent with it.
Yeah. And Kim, I know you've got a good following as a stylist. And, your whole job is making people look beautiful. And of course, on your feed, you look absolutely gorgeous all the time too.
Oh, thank you.
Tell us about how your journey in growing your personal brand as a stylist.
In the beginning, it was a lot of networking because, when you first come onto the scene, everyone is like, well, who's Kim Mo? What can she do for us? So what I did was I started networking with a lot of local people, getting models who are willing to do collaborations, and even putting out kind of like a social media blast, looking for models so that my followers can see that, different types of people, different body types, someone that they can relate to, because, yes, I do help style models, but I also help to style that everyday woman. And that's kind of where I started, showing them the process from beginning to end. Hey, this is where they, what they looks like, and this is, what they look like after the process. And I think it's really important building that network, and then also using myself as an example. Hey, I didn't always have it together. It's a process of getting myself together, and also the time, right? How many of us have so many different things that we're going through on a day-to-day basis, and we just don't have the time. So also showing them how quickly you can put a look together just by having the right pieces. On social media, and I noticed a lot of people who follow you, they also want information. what can you offer me? So, hey, you know, this is what I can offer you while, you know, entertainment in between, right? So I make sure to do that. I also watched my analytics to see, you know, what they really enjoyed watching more and seeing more, what they benefited more. And I ask questions. I'm not afraid to say, hey, you know what, guys, what did you enjoy better? Did you enjoy this better? Did you enjoy that? And that way I know when I'm coming on there, I'm giving my audience what they're looking for.
Mm-hmm. And do you find that people are good about giving you feedback like that?
I do find it, yes. Sometimes I have to kind of coach it out of them. Some people are afraid to be put on the spot. I have noticed that they don't necessarily want to answer. So sometimes I might have to say, you know, hey, you know, only share your question, or, you know, and I will respond to your question. I don't share your identity, just so people feel more comfortable. In the beginning, it was, they weren't as willing. They were a little bit reluctant, but over time, me building that rapport and that relationship, more and more people would ask questions and respond.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now, Oliver, as a photographer, we're also jealous you have an endless supply of gorgeous things to post on social media.
Thank you. Yeah, so I totally agree with what Mary is saying, because right now people have a short attention span. So when they're looking at your aesthetic, your feed through your Instagram, they're already, like what Mary said, they're already sizing you up and judging you based on your picture. So if you don't have that, you know, profile picture that's personable, relatable, they'll just find another person, because, you know, there's millions of other people that's doing the same exact job that you're doing. So try not to give them that excuse, and try to, you know, grab and garner that attention from them. So with a proper profile picture that shows your personality and shows who you are, it'll again differentiate you from, you know, the millions of other people.
Mm-hmm. And Oliver, I mean, your whole job is all about personal branding, right? Because you're taking pictures of people all the time, and that's why you're doing it, because they want to promote themselves. Could you give us some, I'm sure you have people show up to photo shoots in different levels of readiness. Can you give us some tips of, you know, if we're going to a photo shoot, what are some of the things that we need to think about in order to make it a successful photo shoot? And then what are like some major no-nos that, you know, is going to basically waste someone's time and they're not going to be able to get what they want?
Yeah. So what I always recommend is collaborate with your photographer to create a vision board that kind of represents you. And then also don't pick, you know, vision boards that are not realistic, because it's like, hey, I want to do an 1800s photo shoot and you don't have the outfits for that. So be realistic on the outfits that you have, and also know what your, you know, your budget is. Sometimes a photographer or my stylist would find outfits, but don't always rely on the photographer to provide the outfits. So always bring maybe like 4 to 5 outfits, and then know, you know, based on, do you want something that's outdoor, indoors, location, lighting? Do you want, you know, that soft look? So you kind of have to work with your photographer and kind of get your ideal look, and something that is on brand, something that's not something, you know, that's dark and moody, and then you had this light and airy feel aesthetic to your Instagram, and people were going to say, okay, that's different, but, you know, it's not going to match up. And then don't always expect your photographer to give you, you know, 300 photos, because to edit those photos is going to take, you know, hours and hours. There's, you know, wedding photographers that, you know, usually provides 200 to 300 photos. You know, fashion photographers usually provide anywhere from, you know, 10 to 15 to 20 photos. And for me, it takes me, you know, 4, sometimes 8 hours to edit just one single photo. And usually I tell people, I'll take anywhere from 2 weeks to get your photos. So don't expect a quick turnaround time. And of course, you know, have a great attitude when you come on set. Be open to suggestions and, you know, critiques, and, you know, tell your photographer what you're comfortable with and what you're not comfortable with, and we'll work around that.
Do you find, like, how long do you think it should a photo shoot take? Like, how much time investment should someone plan for?
So with travel and everything, so on shoot, I would say about 4 to 5 hours. If you're doing like a lifestyle shoot, that's usually anywhere from like 3 to 5 outfits. So plan 4 or 5 hours out of your day. And usually it's going to be in the morning around like 9, 10, because the lighting probably lasts till 5 or 6. So get ready for that. And if it goes to night, then you might not get that airy look. So plan accordingly. And if the weather is bad, you may have to reschedule. So always look at the weather forecast a few days to a week before.
Interesting. Okay, those are great tips. Kim, tell us about, I mean, as a stylist, you're looking at the whole person. So I'm sure you're taking into consideration the clothing, but what about hair and makeup and, like, what do you do to help people understand that whole package is important before they do a photo shoot?
Well, first of all, one of the things is you want to have a successful photo shoot, and you trying to do it all or cut corners is going to affect how your photos come out. And when we're dressed appropriately, when we are dressed in the right outfit, we feel confident, right? So I remind my clients, this is a confidence booster. The photo shoot's going to flow better when you're put together the right way. And the other thing is, it's less stress. You can really focus on posing and working directly with the photographer. And the makeup artist knows what they're doing. They do this on a day-to-day basis. They can put your face together at the snap of a finger, whereas me, for example, it might take me an hour just to get that perfect face. And it's less editing for the photographer. So really, it's just an overall package that everybody is there for a specific job. So all you have to do is show up and look good.
Mm-hmm. And so do you, like, as a stylist, do you have like hair and makeup people that you like to always work with, or is it okay to bring other people that maybe the person getting the pictures knows? Like, just kind of give us an idea of how that process works. Like, where do you find the makeup artist? Where do you find the hairstylist, all to put together the whole package?
So yes, I do have a network of people that I work with. So I have like 2 to 3 people from each, 2 to 3 makeup artists I work with, photographers, boutiques that I work with that I get pieces from. The first thing that I'll ask my client is, is there someone in particular? Because sometimes, I've had people that have a photographer that they absolutely love and they want to work with. And then I'm like, great, put me in contact with them because I need to speak to them. We need to come up with a plan on how this photo shoot is going to go. But for the most part, the people that come to me know my reputation and they trust the people that I work with. So they will take the advice of who I recommend based on whether it's a lifestyle, or whether it's, for work. They'll take my recommendations. So we kind of go in steps. And then, of course, as far as outfits, we have to time, okay, you want 3 to 4 outfits, then, you're going to need this package. Sometimes you have to bring the client back to reality because they have all of these ideas and things that they want to do, but it's not realistic. So I have to, then, recommend, hey, this is what we need to do. But for the most part, I like to work with the same people. And I'm still networking because, everybody's schedules kind of get, a little bit hectic, but that's pretty much the steps I take.
Mm-hmm. So it sounds like then before the photo shoot, you're meeting with them. And there's a lot of work that goes into getting everything prepped for the photo shoot.
That's correct. I request a mood board for them. A lot of people don't know what a mood board or a vision board is when they're coming to you. They're just like, okay, I'm just coming to snap a photo, but what you're asking me to do in order to achieve this, these are the steps that we need to take. Okay. So, I kind of give them education on a mood board. So a lot of times they'll send me ideas, and what I do is then now I create the looks for them and then send it, and then they approve, yes, I absolutely like this. This is what I'm looking for. Then I send that to the photographer. The photographer then looks to see, okay, what kind of backdrop we might need. Will the venue that we've chosen, does that work? The next step is now I'm sending this to the makeup artist once we have chosen the looks. So now they know, the color palettes that we're going to be using for the makeup. And then again, we send all of that back to the client, and the client is like, okay, yes, I love this. This is perfect. So yes, it is a process.
Mm-hmm. And so what kind of time investment do you think someone should be prepared for prior to the photo shoot?
So for the photo shoot itself, it really depends on how many looks. So, 4 to 5 hours, but as far as the overall process, I like to have at least 3 to 4 weeks out.
Okay. That's good to know. That's great. So Allison, you've been building your brand as Absolutely Allie all of these years, and you have really great photography. Do you how do you get those great? Do you have people that you work with? Do you do photo shoots? Tell us all the details of how you've grown that.
A little bit, all of the above. So I do have some photographers I work with locally. I live in Louisville, Kentucky, so some ones that I work with locally. But my main one is my husband. He takes a lot of my photos.
Man, talk about right in your own backyard.
Yes, he's not a photographer by any means, and I don't know, he doesn't even like pictures, but he does it for me and my business. A lot of times I use my iPhone because I upgrade, because that's part of the business for me. I have the newest iPhone, but I have that because it goes with my business and it takes great pictures. But I definitely love a good photographer and somebody that knows the angles, that can tell you if your hair is messed. My husband doesn't do any of that. Like, I can get a picture back sometimes and my lipstick's up here and I'm like, why didn't you tell me that? But a photographer and a stylist will be like, hey, fix your shirt, or you have something here, and they make sure that you look how you want to look, and they know the lighting. So I definitely, if you are starting out, or if you're in the middle of your business or at the end of your business, photographers are great to use because it takes the stress off you. Stylists are great to use because it takes the stress off of you too. Mm-hmm. So regardless of what business you're in, like a blogger or whatever, I use a little bit of both, because that way, and the reason I use my husband, sometimes it helps me learn my angles. Like, I'm not using up time of a photographer to just learn my own personal angles. And also, if I need something shot really quickly, he's always there. But if I'm doing big campaigns, or if you want your brand to stand out, definitely go with a photographer. Definitely use a stylist if you can, because then you can sit down and talk to them about what this specific brand, if you're an influencer that you're working with, and you can talk to them about your personal brand, and they can make sure that they get all those little pieces together, and as well as you. So it's basically like 3 people storming on your own business.
And I think it's so important to have these really good, high quality photos that are a real investment, because if you want to get any PR for your company, you're going to have high quality photos.
Exactly.
That Oliver, tell us the difference between, like if someone's trying to get PR, they want to be in a major publication, be profiled. There's a big difference between a professional photographer's photo and, what you might be able to take on your camera. Not including Allison, because Allison's got it down, but those of us who are not good at it or don't have a lot of experience, what are the differences a professional photographer is going to bring to the quality of the photo that would be difficult for somebody who is just using an iPhone?
Yeah, so with the really big expensive cameras, they have a huge dynamic range, where let's say that you have a very bright highlight or dark shadows, you may not be able to capture and edit those, and there's more leeway and it's more givable on somewhere where you could edit it on like Photoshop. So you could tone down like the colors, you could change out the colors, and of course the resolution that produces is gonna, like my camera produces like 100 megapixels or 100 megabytes. When I send it out to clients, it could last them 10 years. I don't want to say don't take another picture for another 10 years, but it's more future proof that, let's say you contact a photographer in 5 years, like, hey, I don't like the color of my shirt, can you change it? It's like, sure, I have the raw file, I can change it. Or so it's a little bit more givable. And with magazine publication, they require a certain resolution. Most magazines, like the portrait, 8x5x11, and it has to meet a certain DPI. Usually it's like 300 DPI. But if you give them like a bigger file, then they could also have the option to crop in a little bit if you have the wrong crop. So having a bigger camera, you have more affordability where you could edit the photo and manipulate the photo.
And I've always found that the lighting is like one of the most difficult things to do, and if you're not professionally trained. Yeah.
Exactly.
So you have like like what are they called? The strobes or things like that?
Uh,
that you put up
So
for-
yeah, you have like you could do like an off-camera flash. So with off-camera flash, you usually need a higher wattage. If you're going outdoors, you would need something like, you know, a 300 watt to, you know, a 500 watt off-camera flash. And sometimes you have to battle the sun. So you would have to have a very strong flash for that. So there's certain things that, you know, a certain photographer would have, the certain equipment to basically battle any lighting elements or issues that you have, and then we'll just adjust and adapt to that.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So Mary, I'm sure that we're working with businesses in Italy. You're on Zoom nonstop.
Nonstop.
and
Literally.
so everybody's had to think about, what do I look like from, you know, the neck up? So do you have any tips for us on how to make sure that we're, you know, presenting ourselves professionally when we're on Zoom?
Lighting is very important. Like right now, I have lights around, because especially when you're on Zoom all day, particularly coming from a fashion beauty background, lighting is vital. Listening to everybody talk about their particular topic, it's really funny, because when I deal with my clients, I have to deal with all of these individual people and make it happen. And if I may, I would love to throw out a question to everyone.
Please do.
I did not hear from anyone about asking their client what industry they're coming from, who is their target market, and how would they decipher if I walked in, I said, okay, I come from fashion beauty. I want to be positioned in the industry to get more work. How would you go about it? So I would like to hear how, because I think people watching this webinar, this is probably why they're watching, is how do I go about, if I'm going to be positioned, how do I go about being positioned? There are specific questions. I can walk in and say, you know, I want to be in fashion beauty. Well, what colors would you pick for me? How would you dress me? Where would you position me? What kind of makeup would you use? And not only that, where would you? What magazines? What social media platforms? That's really important, because when I sit with my clients, I have to make sure that all of these topics are covered individually, and that the outcome and the results are going to get them money in their pocket, or results, or any kind of feedback. So it's really very important that you have to go through every step. And most important is, where do you want to be positioned? What is your market? And how do you want to go about it?
So are you saying if you're, you know, you're targeting certain publications to get PR, do you want to like look at those publications and see what kind of photos they have, what kind of settings people are in, to kind of figure out what your photo shoot needs to look like?
Well, you would hope that the people you're dealing with have this knowledge of how to go about it. Because most of the time when I'm calling people in, and I have a client who wants to be positioned, let's say in the mechanical, the machinery industry, or whatever industry, this is not my area of expertise in all these industries, but I have to have people who have knowledge of how to position my client.
Gotcha.
So that's really actually curious for me, is how do people go about asking people or positioning them in the industry that they want to be required. So I was just curious.
Yeah, okay.
I didn't
Yeah,
hear any
yeah.
of that, so that's why I was asking.
Yeah, Kim, since you work with you work with big brands, you work with individuals. Can you tell us what those kind of discussions are like? Just, you know, give us an understanding of how we figure out what our looks should look like, what kind, you know, how we should have, you know, should we have the set? I'm sure Oliver does studio work, does outdoor work. There's a lot of things to consider, right?
Correct.
Yes, my last client, she is a real estate agent, but I gave her an example, and sometimes you have to be very direct. I said, you know, looking at you, I wouldn't really know if you were a real estate agent or what business you were in by the way you were dressing. And a lot of times I think we forget that, you know, those first impressions, as to Mary's point, people do size you up in those first 30 seconds. And I wouldn't want to conduct business with someone who I didn't feel was even in business. For example, she was wearing, I think a sunflower dress in a lot of her posts and things like that. It really wasn't giving me the message of, okay, this woman can sell me a home. So we kind of had to really take a look at her closet and say, okay, you know, do you have the pieces that's really going to show your client that you mean business? We'll just put it that way. So we had to kind of dissect her closet and then pull out the right pieces that would send that message. She said she didn't want to be obviously overtly sexy, but she wanted to still be sexy, but also be, you know, show that she's the CEO of her business. So that's kind of where we started. And we started looking at color, you know, what color suits her and would look best when she's taking photos, because she wanted, you know, a photo shoot that she could spread out over time. So we started there. And then also, you know, what is the message that you want to send? Do you want to look, I forgot the word that she used, but she wanted to look like somebody that, hey, this is the person that I want to sell my home, or I want to purchase a home from. And that was the message that she got. And I could see the difference when she put on those clothes and how she felt. The message that she was able to convey at that point completely changed. You know, and then of course asking, you know, that's a particular market because she's a real estate agent, but it just varies depending on what their business is. So I do ask those particular questions, like, who is your market? Who are you selling to? What message are you trying to send? And I do feel like your clothing and your makeup and how you appear on your platform makes a huge difference.
Very, very interesting. I want to bring in Dee, because Dee's in PR.
Melissa, I always try and do a style assessment.
Kat, was that you, Kat? I'm sorry. You keep free.
Yeah, I always do a style assessment.
A style assessment. Tell us what that is.
I'll get back to you.
Okay, yeah. Dee, you want to?
I say style is being yourself on purpose.
Style is being yourself on purpose. Okay. I love that.
Yeah.
So yeah, Melissa, what was the question?
Well, I wanted to get an idea from you, because I know you work with a lot of people who do need personal branding, because you're helping them grow their businesses, you're getting PR for them. Tell us, you know, a little bit about how that process works with you when you're trying to position somebody to get media.
Okay, so for me, the way I assess what my client needs, it depends if it's a brand or if it's a person. If it's a person, I look at who they are, what they do, right? I assess that. And I also assess their personalities. I assess their lifestyle. Are they moms? Are they mompreneurs? Are they single? And so when I look at all that, and I've done this with Dale, I've done this with Sharon, where I go, okay, you know, you're a lawyer, you're a mom, you take charge, just like Dale, she's a model, she's a business owner. So I look at all of that, and then I kind of create kind of like what we did before with this, when you had archetypes. So you got to create, like, you don't want them to be fake, but you're creating a whole persona. You're creating something because they are the brand. So they're an extension of their brand, right? This person is an extension of their brand. So it has to be consistent. Then what I do is I usually send them, I try to do, like I send them a one pager with questions, what they're looking for. And then I try to ask us, what is their demographic? How are we going to geo-target this brand? You know, who is the audience? What is the age group? And then that is how I target press based on that. Like, are they going national? Are they going local? I also, you know, PR has changed tremendously, right? So when you think of magazines, everything pretty much is digital, and that is what everybody reads. Now, it doesn't mean that print does not exist. It does, but honestly, everything is digital. So, you know, you reach a bigger mass of people when you do digital, also digital TV, a lot of morning shows, they do Zoom. So I've been able to secure some really great national press for a lot of clients, but I really try to assess them and their brand and make it consistent and tell a story pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, obviously part of growing a personal brand, there is the aesthetic part of it. You know, making sure you look professional, you have great photos, you have a great photo shoot, but you also have to tell the story. And
you have to have a personality. Like some brands, like there are people that I rep that they have zero personalities. Like they're the worst people to be in front of TV. Now they need a lot of media training. I've done that. There's a specific CEO that I've been working with for 6 years. She had no personality, and then once she got some media training, I mean, she literally can take over a mic. She does really well. So that takes time, but there are people that just don't want to be in front of the TV, and it's a disadvantage to them because sometimes you are your brand, but then we have to get a spokesperson, which is another ball of wax. But I think, you know, you really have to train people that if they're going to be in front of the camera and they are going to be the face of their brand, they have to do some media training. They have to get a certain look. Maybe they need to get some highlights. Maybe they, you know, we get them with the makeup artist. We try to keep them authentic, but they sometimes do need a whole aesthetic makeover.
Gotcha. I want to bring Dale in because, I mean, Dale has been a model, still is a model. Dale has a modeling agency. You work with photo shoots every day, I'm sure. But you actually, you have your own personal brand. You're very well known in New York City. You network a lot. Can you give us some advice on, you know, creating the whole picture?
I support everything that everyone said so far. So I think they were all great tips. And I always hone in on the authenticity too. And really, when it comes to myself or with models, if it's for their personal brand, not them taking pictures like for a client, you know, really keep in mind like what your hobbies are, what your skills are. You know, you need to be the best version of yourself. So even if that might not be a dress that you own, but you're doing a photo shoot, it's like the nicer version of, you know, it's part of what you aspire to be as well as who you really, you know, what you're doing today. So all of that to keep in mind when you're taking the photos. And as far as branding, definitely, I think media training, I really think everyone should get media training because even when you're meeting in person, it helps you get your point across. You know, if you're pitching an idea to someone, even if it's not on TV, it's like in person, it's really needed, and to work on and to be comfortable. Like when you're doing the photo shoots, it's best, I believe it was Kim that said, prepare, you know, a few weeks before it. All that time that you put into it ahead of time really pays off because you only get that short time, you know, 4 or 5 hours. And if you can try on the clothes and try out the hairdo before, that'd be great. Sometimes you don't have the luxury of doing that with time and money and things like that. But at least the vision and the mood board that others had mentioned. So you can pick and choose before you actually show up and then you're like, ooh, I would never wear that, because you need to be comfortable when you're preparing your content. So if you put on something that's, you know, you don't feel good in, the shoot will not be as good, and then the content you have won't be as good. So really be mindful and take that extra time and prepare and plan it.
That's really good advice. Sharon, I know that you had a photo shoot last year, and you've really been working on growing your personal brand with your law firm. Tell us how that experience went for you, and share like some advice on, you know, what you wish you would have done differently. And are you gonna, like, were you happy with the results, or do you feel like you're gonna have to do it again?
Thanks, Melissa. Yes, so it was definitely a journey. I wish I had everyone here before that, because, you know, obviously coming from from a legal background. Yes, I'm in the fashion and beauty industry, but I'm on a very different side of things. So it was really hard to balance being a lawyer, but also attracting the target that I'm, the industry that I'm in. And I wish I had more preparation into it. I think the color choices for me were wrong. I tried on clothes in an indoor setting and we ended up going outdoors as well. That didn't work. The background was different from what we had initially planned. So there was changes that were made and I didn't bring enough with me. So I think one of the tips I would say is bring a lot of outfits because, sometimes you may change things around, and especially we were doing it during COVID. So, we had to be also respectful of the different places that, the studios and things like that. So that was another issue, but definitely I think bring a lot of options. So that you actually have options just in case. And as Dale mentioned, to feel good in it. So, when I was trying it out at home and when I had prepared and when I was at the, actually taking the shoot, it didn't feel good. And I think it showed in my pictures. It was I looked uncomfortable and I immediately, saw that, but of course it's too late now, So I definitely think, be more prepared, have a lot of options, definitely, speak to a stylist beforehand and really figure out what it is that you're trying to go after, right? And trying to stay authentic to yourself, but also reach the audience that you're trying to connect with as well. So that was a lot of lessons learned for me. And I'm definitely now listening to all of this advice, going to do things a lot differently and plan it a lot better for the next round. I think, so that I could have those evergreen pictures to utilize for my brand. But I just also want to mention is that the investment of time and money that we're putting into our personal brands, let's not forget about protecting it. So that's one of the things I just want to make sure that everyone is also very wary about is, your personal brand is, of course, your everything. And trademarking your name, copywriting that content, those pictures, those videos. It's unfortunate, but we live in a digital world, which is as easy as copy and paste. And someone has taken your beautiful pictures and now is passing it off as their own, or that content that you spent so much time. So make sure that you're properly protecting your brand as well as, putting that time into, creating it.
That's really good advice. Catherine, I really wanted to, I hope we've got you on I know you're having a little bit.
Can you hear me now?
Can you
hear me?
Yeah,
Okay.
I know you work with so many independent designers and people that are really starting to just grow their career in the fashion and beauty industry. And I just wondered if you could give us some some mistakes that you see people making and and give us some advice from like if you're just starting out, what are some of the things you need to think about for your personal branding? We may not have Catherine.
Well, as an independent designer, you need to know who your target audience is, and hire the models who best reflect that brand that you're creating your clothing around, and create a campaign that really reflects the whole message. A lot of my independent designers are sustainable, so we try and do a whole eco-friendly, green, aesthetic to the shoot. And I think, making sure that the designer's message is consistent with the clothing and that the models reflect that because a lot of models don't really match the clothes. You have to kind of match the models to what the type of clothing is. And that's a kind of art form in and of itself. So, get some people like Dale, who can help you with casting the right models for the right looks for your clothing, because there's nothing worse than too young of a model in something that's too mature looking. And it has to be just that right balance, and just decide what your demographic is, and then hire the models that best reflect that demographic.
Yeah,
It makes
definitely.
it much more relatable.
Yeah, I do see some designers, they're trying to establish their brand, but they're using like their friends as models and stuff like that. And then the quality of the photos are not there.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah. And almost do a storyboard for the outfits and the collection. And choose the locations as well as, the casting of the models, because it all is a story. Like Mary was saying, you're trying to tell this whole story about the brand, and it's your personal message as well as a message of your clothing, that it's all part of it. And it's so great when you see somebody get it right. It just resonates, and it's like, it's just a beautiful thing to behold.
Wonderful. Well, we've only got a few minutes, so if anybody's got any questions, please put those in the chat. I wanted to go back to Allison. You had mentioned like how much time it does take. Even for a personal brand, you think it's important to have a content calendar, you kind of tend to do that for like maybe the business, but you don't actually think about doing that for your personal brand. I mean, I don't anyway. I mean, if I post on Instagram, it's like once every 3 months, maybe. I know that's bad. So what would you recommend to help those of us who really don't want to create content, but we need to? Can you give us some advice on maybe what are some easy ways to kind of ease into this?
So if you don't have a social media manager, which can make it easier for you, what you should be doing yourself is, if you do have pictures from a photographer that has sent you pictures, you already have some content right there. Start using those. I know so many people that have all these pictures, but they don't know what to do with them. So start with those first, because they're probably great pictures. Then plan out, even if it's not a month, just plan out a week or two of what you can post, and start with just posting. You can post the same thing on different channels. Start with that first, because sometimes if you're trying to post different stuff on different channels, it becomes too overwhelming. So, and then also I tell people, start with what you're comfortable with. So if you're comfortable with Facebook, just do Facebook right now. Once you master that, then move on to the next thing. Don't try to do it all at once. Don't try to do the Pinterest and the Instagram and the TikTok and all of the above. Start with what you're good at. Then you can move on to the next if you feel comfortable. And I always tell people, don't reinvent the wheel. See what's working for similar brands as your own. Do something similar, but put your own spin on it. Don't do exactly what they're doing, because they've already done that, but put your spin on it. I always tell people, find profiles that you love, regardless, brand, person, personal, whatever. Follow them for motivation. See if you have similar things, pictures or things like that you can post. Come up with some captions, some copy. If you need some help, I'd love to help you. Also have a personal hashtag for yourself so people can find you. That's one thing. A lot of people don't have a personal hashtag. Mine's absolutely Allie or absolutely social. That way people can find you. And then whatever your brand, you can hashtag that. Make it easy on yourself. Do not make it hard. Social media is not supposed to be hard.
Okay. Now, does it have to always be pictures of you, or can you have different kinds of pictures? Like what's the mix look like?
Reels, really good. Videos are really good. When you're doing events, like things like this can be content right here. People don't think about that, but you're on a panel, take some pictures while you're on the panel. take pictures when you're out, or if you have pictures of friends. I have not a list, I have a storage of just pictures that I keep. They might not be posted, but you always have stuff there. But videos, reels, if you have a boutique or if you have products, they don't have to be necessarily pictures of you. They can be flat lays. Just make sure the lighting's good, the picture is good before you put it out there. So it doesn't always, a lot of people are scared to get in front of the camera or which you shouldn't be. That's why we talk about media training, but use that stuff that you have. If you're on panels, if you're on things and you have that stuff, use it.
Now, I've had several of you mention media training. Where do we go to get media training? Who does this training?
Hey, Melissa. So there's various ways of doing it. What I do is I'll get with my client, set up a time to get in front of a camera, and we do sort of like mock-ups of interviews or mock-ups of, what would, if she's on a panel, these are the questions, and then I have her see what she looks like in camera, and does she do pauses like or like those little things make a difference in how you resonate with your audience, how you engage with your audience. So there's a lot of little things. I've done it myself. Like I've taped myself in many interviews just to see what are my issues, how do I need to speak better, how do I, what are my little hiccups in when I share things in an audience. So that's one way, but that I media train my clients, but there's various ways. You could take an acting class. There's so many classes online, but that is what I would recommend. Like first start out in like being in front of a camera, videotape yourself, making believe you're but I would really recommend getting someone who could help you and look from the outside in.
That's really great advice. I love that. Thanks so much, Dee.
Yeah.
I want to wrap up, Mary, with you, and like, let's talk about, like, if you could just really kind of reiterate the importance of a professional personal brand, and with all of your years of experience in the industry, just like lead us out with some motivation to take the time to do what we need to do, get our personal brand started, and think of it as an investment.
Yeah, I mean, there's no more important brand than you. You are the brand. I can't begin to tell you how important it is when you have the proper photo, the proper content, the proper outfit, and you're positioned correctly in social media. It's like magic. It's the secret sauce. And it is worth the time and the expense at times to do it right. And if I throw this out there, I want to say I have gone to Kat many times and have gotten her advice, and she's given me some very, very good advice. You never know it all. It really is worth the time to do it correctly. Do your research. We have a fabulous panel today. Reach out to these people. In fact, I hope we can all stay in touch with one another, because I certainly can use everyone on this panel. And I must admit, Melissa, you did an awesome job today. I was so impressed with you asking all the fabulous questions that I walked away learning a lot, and it was tremendous. But I just want to say, the branding of you is so, so important. Don't shortcut. Do your homework, do the research, whatever the expenses, do it properly, do it correct. It's worth it. Remember, it's you.
Love it. Well, thank you guys. This has been like you said, Mary, I asked a lot of questions because this is like a major pain point with me, not wanting to be in front of the camera, not wanting to be on social media, but I realize it's super critical for my business to develop my personal brand. So this was a great learning experience for me, and I love all of the advice everybody gave, all of you experts. It was fantastic hearing all of the tips. And I really thank you guys for sharing all this information.
Melissa, I have one last thing.
Mhm.
Listen, why don't we do a webinar on media training? I
Perfect.
think it's a fabulous topic.
Let's do it.
Let's
Do
it.
it. Yeah. Okay. Let's plan that. April or May. I gotta check the schedule, but let's definitely do that.
I want to get in on that one. I want.
Awesome. And Dee, you can give us.
Yes.
Yes.
You're in charge of this one, okay, Dee?
Okay, I have some good ideas. I'll email you.
Yay!
Yay.
Okay, cool. Okay, well, thank you, everybody. I really appreciated everybody being on the panel, and want to get this team together again for media training next month.
Fantastic.
Awesome.
Sounds good.
Thank
Awesome.
you, everyone.
Melissa.
And
Take
Thank
care,
you.
everyone.
Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye-bye now.